Welcome back to the weekend wrap, and I'm gonna keep this one short and sweet, but thankfully I got all of my predictions correct last night. Before I get into that, I just want to quickly touch on the Boxer card because I did see some of it this morning. I saw the Denny fight, I saw the Adam Azim fight, Dylan Chima, Karis Artenstall, I saw that one, and I saw the Sam Eggington fight as well. All very entertaining scraps, if I'm going to be totally honest, so it was definitely a worthwhile exercise. Obviously there was no necessary like star power or anything like that to attract just a casual audience, but I just wanted to give a quick shout out to them. Also this morning I finally managed to watch the return of Jarrell Miller against Bracamonte, and to say he looked terrible, not just physically but in the ring, everything is a understatement. When you're having a very, very tough time with someone like Bracamonte, whose best days was long behind him as a journeyman, or an elite level journeyman type opponent, let's say, I don't see big things for your future moving forward. Obviously, we got to say, look, he's been out of the ring for 4 years, well deserved, but there's times that you could say, okay, well, we get into ring rust and just trying to get the flow back or whatever, but 340 something pounds, couldn't really move. The punches looked slow. They didn't look particularly heavy. He was sitting on the ropes for the majority of the time, whereas before he used to be a highly pressuring type person, throwing, these fairly quick, innocuous looking punches, but it just in the volume. Yeah, it didn't look great. So I don't see anything moving in his future, if I'm gonna be totally honest. But hey, he could prove me wrong. He might shed 40 pounds and be something totally different. But yeah, that's that. Anyway, let's talk about the DAZN card. Now, I actually haven't seen the Raymond Ford fight because I came into the event on the McCaskill. Now, obviously I said that I predicted that Jessica McCaskill would win. But I said that from what I've seen of Ibarra, she'd be able to take the punches, everything, and it would be sort of a very spirited type effort, but McCaskill would probably just outwork her and be able to nick like a close decision. Yeah, she decided to rip up all scripts that people had in mind. She came straight out and she just put a beating on Ibarra from round 1 to the end of round 3, where it ultimately stopped at the start of round 4. But what I don't understand is that Ibarra was getting punched, she was getting pressured, roughed up, but she was also roughing up Jessica as well. She was leaning on her, she was headlocking her, she was grabbing and holding and pushing her back at times, and she was also landing her own shots, like not a huge amount and maybe not with the necessary power that she wanted, but she was connecting. There's a couple times. There was one time where I remember she hit Jessica and Jessica actually backed off a bit, and then she came in for the kill, and Jessica adjusted, started moving her head, because she's got very good sort of upper body movement, which is one thing I probably should have mentioned in the previous video. But yeah, it's like, she was taking a beating, like Ibarra was taking a beating, but it wasn't like a beating that you couldn't come back from or that you couldn't recover or rally. So for her to basically quit on her stall at the start of the 4th round, now bearing in mind, I can understand some Spanish, but I don't speak it fluently, and with the mouth guard and all the other noise, I didn't hear everything that was being said. But one thing was, I heard something along the lines of, I don't want to go back out there, something similar to that. And then someone else, one of the translators apparently was saying, oh, if she's going to keep holding, then I just want to go home to my child. and I don't know, apparently a child has some kind of severe illness or sickness or something. So obviously I won't address that, but I don't know. I mean, this is a Mexican woman. You know, everyone knows what it means in the Mexican culture to quit in boxing. No mas, as they say, like no more. It's not a good look. And until obviously there was further answers like provided, it does not look great on her. And I can't imagine that she will be back on any major-ish platform, even as an opponent, because she clearly now hasn't covered herself in the greatest of glory. So yeah, that's a shame. But that being said, like, Jessica, she impressed me. She probably impressed me more than she did in the Candy Wyatt fight that she had lost, because Jessica's always been a high volume type person, but it looks like the punches have now got a lot more mustard on them. They're a lot more spiteful than they used to be, and they are hurting and wrecking girls, whereas before they was just kind of, you know, they was just there to kind of stop the other person from working, just outwork you, you know, obviously buzz you if it can, take you out if possible. But now it really looks like these punches are there to land and do damage. So yeah, methodology was a little wrong on that one, but I predicted she'd win, so ultimately I feel cool about that. The MJ Akhmadaliev and Ronnie Rios fight. Trust MJ to decide to wait one round after my prediction to get the knockout that I said he was going to get. I said he was going to put on a statement to make the Stephen Fulton fight even more, you know, wanted and voted by the public. Lo and behold, he did. I had him winning pretty much every round except one. There's possibly a second one, if I watch it back, that I might be able to give to Ronnie Rios, but for all intents and purposes, he hurt his hand at the end of the sixth. So he hurt his left hand, so wasn't throwing the left hand as much according to the opponents, but I saw him throw it enough that it was still effective. I said that I reckon he'd get him out of there between round 7 and 11, and then ultimately he got the stoppage at the end of sort of the middle to end of round 12. But yeah, it was a great performance from him, and I'm looking forward to that undisputed fight, because there's no other choice. The only other option apart from that undisputed is for him to go up, him to face Inoue in Japan, because, you know, DAZN and Matchroom will definitely let him go over there. I don't know if Showtime and PBC would let Stephen Fulton go over there, because the Inoue fight doesn't make enough money for them in the US. Like, that fight basically makes sense in his neck of the woods. But I want the undisputed. I do think Fulton has... I thought that Fulton had the advantage just due to being able to offer different looks, being comfortable in the pocket, but not staying there, because he knows he's not a power puncher like that, even though sometimes he might try and act as if he is. But the way MJ fought, I might have to reevaluate my opinion on that fight, but I'll do a bit more on that as soon as obviously that comes out, if it does get made. I hope it does. On to the main event. Now, this was very, very impressive. Now, I said in the previous one, if Bam Rodriguez can take Rung Visai's power and keep coming forward, then there's a good chance he's going to get the stoppage. But if he feels the power and decides, you know, it's better to be smart and, you know, uses quick speed, his pivots, his footwork, his IQ, then he will go to a very strong points decision. Well, he respected the power for the first 2 rounds or so, 2 to 3 rounds. After that, he started sticking inside a bit more. He was definitely using those pivots. Rung Visai's head was there to be caught all night by jabs and power punches. I think Rodriguez's power punch percentage was something in the mid 60s, the early to mid 60s, which is always a recipe for disaster for someone trying to survive a fight. And I know his jabs, he was pretty much landing almost all his jabs as well. I think the jabs was in like the high 70s. So yeah, he would put a systematic beating on Rung Visai. obviously got hit with a couple of shots, but took them well. He said from the end of that third round, like the punches didn't feel the same. He felt comfortable taking them at that point. But Rungvisai, as I said, flat-footed, slow, take a bit of time to adjust to the long time out of the ring. And yeah, Rodriguez just showed that he is the next big thing. That's what I christened him on Twitter, that aka the same tag that Brock Lesnar got back in the WWE back in like 2002 when he debuted there. Yeah, I mean, this guy is a star. I feel like him, Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson and maybe even someone like Bruce Carrington, the other sort of the young crop coming up now. I feel like those are the guys that are going to elevate the sport. Obviously Jared Anderson as well, but for the bigger guys. But yeah, those to me are like, if they stay in the right fights, keep themselves clean, I feel like those are the next stars. Whether they're going to be crossover or pay-per-view, like main event like that, I'm not sure. But within boxing, they're going to be like the guys in the best fights, earning the big money, because it was, the effort he put on. Like, he's got Estrada. I know his brother is fighting Estrada next. Now, if his brother wins that fight, he wins the WBA, but he's also going to be, he won't have the franchise designation, but he will be ranked #1 in the WBC rankings, which will then dictate whether or not he will actually then become the mandatory for Rodriguez's belt. And obviously, as their brothers, Rodriguez said flat out, if he becomes a mandatory, I will vacate the belt and he can have it. And I'll either reign with the other belts like the Klitschko's did, or I'll go down to 112 and fight the champions at 112. And if I really want to, I can go down to 108 and make that as well, and take those belts also. But I think at his current age, obviously he's still growing. He's 22. He was making 108. From what I heard, he was making it quite comfortably. So it's not like he was draining himself out to make that weight. But since he's now growing, I wouldn't go down further than 112 at this point. You can manage the power at 115. Like, you look good as a 115. You go to 112. You can win belts in that division. I said the Kayaguchi fight is right there. I think that's a great fight. If the Chocolatito fight or an Estrada fight or something can't be made, I think those are tremendous fights for him. And who knows, further down the line, he might decide to move to 118, top out at maybe 122 at some point. But I think that might be a step too far, because he is still quite a short guy as well. He won't really be able to carry he won't have any advantages there at all, apart from possible speed. But those guys just might be a bit too big. But yeah, I mean, look, if he can make 108 just to win, just for like a title against like a unified champ or something, okay, maybe do that, just so you can have that run of being a champion in all of those weight divisions. But I definitely think he's the star there. And you know what, even if that's not the case, become undisputed at 112, let your brother become undisputed at 115 if he can, or be unified or whatever. Then when he moves up, you come back to 115, clear out the division, dominate there, and the two of you just so there's nothing wrong with just dominating 1 or 2 weight classes. Like, it's not all about having to be 4 and 5 and 6 division champions. I mean, don't get me wrong, those guys have like great legacies, but sometimes people also leave weight classes just to, well, they won't admit it, but to avoid certain challenges, or but it's like, if you can make that, just clear it out. Like, be dominant, be that apex predator of that weight class, and it's not an issue. Like, you can still gain legacy and status off of that. Like, not everything has to be 3, 4, 5 weight division champs, but he's definitely got the talent to do it. And I was really impressed with his performance, which I will talk more about on Tuesday on the breakdown. But I'm going to leave that one there, because there wasn't really a huge amount for me to get into. But thanks for watching. Yeah, there will be more videos coming up this week, so I will catch you then.